Hi, my name is John, and today I decided to take my nephews Max and Danny to the amusement park. Actually, they're not quite my nephews. I was married to their aunt, the younger daughter of my former mother-in-law, Sarah. But we've been divorced for a couple of years now, and I still get along great with the boys. Anyway, there we were standing at the entrance to the park, and I say to them, "Okay, kiddos, you know the rules. No running off, don't touch anything without asking, and don't take candy from strangers." "Uncle John, we're 10 years old. We're not that stupid." Max rolled his eyes. What a rascal. "All right, smarty pants, let's go already," I grunted, and pulled them toward the ticket booths. The weather today was just right. The sun was shining, the birds were singing. Perfect for riding roller coasters. After buying tickets, we headed for the rides. "Uncle John, I want to go on that one, the tallest one." Danny pointed excitedly toward the huge coaster. "Well, I don't know. You're still a bit small for such extreme stuff," I said doubtfully. "Oh, please, I'm not some kind of coward," my nephew whined, making a pitiful face. What a manipulator he's growing up to be. "Okay, damn you, let's go," I gave in. We had the whole day ahead anyway. We'd still have time to ride the others. Strapped in, we prepared for the start. Danny was bouncing with impatience, but Max had gone a bit quiet. When the car jerked sharply from its place and began to pick up speed on the ascent, I noticed out of the corner of my eye how pale my older nephew had become. Serves him right, the show-off. 2 minutes of screaming, shouting, and adrenaline. Later, we tumbled out onto the platform, slightly staggering. "Well, how was it?" I grinned, looking at their dazed faces. "Awesome!" Danny yelled enthusiastically. "Can we go again?" "Nah, man, I'm feeling a bit sick," Max croaked, looking a bit green. "Wimps!" I snorted. "Okay, let's go on. Just let the older one catch his breath." While Max was recovering, I took the kids to the fast food stands for hot dogs, burgers, and such. Got a refuel to have enough energy for the whole day. Grabbing a hot dog and a cup of cola each, we sat down at a table outside. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a familiar silhouette. Straining my vision, I freaked out. It was my former mother-in-law in person. That same Sarah, the mother of my ex-wife. And with her, judging by everything, were her grandkids from her older daughter. What a meeting, damn it. I was about to sneak away quietly, but no such luck. Danny, the little twerp, recognized her too, and ran toward her with a joyful shout of, "Grandma!" I had to follow him. What else could I do? "Sarah, what a meeting!" I tried to smile as casually as possible. "What brings you here?" "Oh, John, you're here too." My mother-in-law also looked slightly disconcerted. "Well, we came out for a walk with the grandkids. Meet Jake and Lizzie." I stiffly greeted the children. They stared at me with curiosity. The awkwardness hung in the air like a fog over a swamp. What were the odds of running into each other after so many years? "And we're here with Uncle John and Max," Danny, meanwhile, was happily telling his grandma. "And we already rode the roller coaster. Now we're eating hot dogs." Max, the rascal, as if on purpose, had to blurt out, "Yeah, Uncle John said we need to build up our strength so we can ride the other rides later." "Oh, really?" Sarah smiled politely. "We'll have fun. We'd better get going, right, kids?" But then Danny had to butt in again. "Grandma, let's go together, please, please. Max and I want to ride the cars, pretty please." I wanted to sink through the ground. My ex-mother-in-law looked at me doubtfully, apparently deciding how to tactfully refuse. Oh, the damn awkwardness. In the end, Danny's persuasion had an effect, and our whole strange group moved toward the go-karts. At least it was some safe entertainment, because the roller coaster was making me a bit queasy too, to be honest. While waiting our turn, I snuck a peek at Sarah. She's held up well, the harpy. Slender, fit, hardly any wrinkles. You can see she takes care of herself. Not like me. I've grown a belly, my hair has gone gray. Divorce, stress, depression, all that. "So, ready for the cars?" I tried to lighten the mood with silly jokes. "The main thing is don't forget your license. The police are angry now. They'll fine you for speeding." The kids started chattering happily, settling into their cars. Sarah glanced at me uncertainly. "Maybe you should go with them. I'll wait here." "Oh no," I suddenly blurted out. "I'll be bored alone. Come on, mother-in-law, let's show these kids how to race." I don't know what came over me. Either the adrenaline from the coaster had gone to my head, or the atmosphere had relaxed me. But Sarah, to my surprise, smiled and nodded. "Oh, all right. You've convinced me. Just don't drive too fast. I've gotten out of the habit of such rides somehow." We got into adjacent cars, and I shouted with a grin, "Okay, kids, let's go. Last one has to do the dishes tonight." The engines roared to life. The cars took off. I immediately pulled ahead, deftly navigating the turns. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Sarah wasn't far behind, steering confidently. I'd forgotten that she used to be quite the racer in her youth. Ah, those were the days. 3 laps flew by in no time. I did come in first, followed by Sarah and the kids squealing happily behind us. Slightly cross-eyed, we climbed out of the cars. "Uncle Joan, how did you go so fast?" Danny whined. "I want to do that too." "Practice, kiddo," I grinned. "If you keep practicing, you'll get it too." "Yeah, and in the meantime, young man, practice washing dishes," Max chuckled, elbowing his brother. "Hey, not fair! I'll practice more and beat you all," Danny puffed. Sarah watched our bickering with a smile. When I caught her gaze, there was something in her eyes. Warm, almost like in the good old days when we were still one family. After the go-karts, the kids dragged us to the Ferris wheel. We had to go. What else could we do? We stood in line, Jake and Lizzie whispering about something, Danny and Max arguing about who was the cooler racer. And Sarah and I shuffled next to each other, carefully avoiding looking at each other. "How are you?" I broke the silence, unable to stand the awkwardness. "How's life in general?" "Oh, nothing, taking it easy," Sarah shrugged. "Working, hanging out with the grandkids. And you?" "Same thing, basically." I hesitated, not knowing what else to say. "Hanging out with the boys, as you can see." Sarah nodded, glancing at Max and Danny. "Yeah, the boys adore you, that's obvious." "Well, I'm kind of their uncle," I grinned. "It's kind of expected, I guess." She smiled wistfully in response. "Even after the divorce with Emily, you keep in touch with them. That's great, not like some people." I understood that she was referring to her former son-in-law, the husband of her older daughter, who had taken off into the sunset after the divorce, forgetting about the children. Yeah, Jake and Lizzie were unlucky with their dad. "Come on, I can't abandon them," I tried to sound cheerful. "And I've gotten attached to the little rascals. What can I say?" Then it was our turn, and we settled into the cabins. As luck, or misfortune, would have it, Sarah and I ended up together. The kids piled into the next one with joyful shouts. The wheel slowly moved, carrying us higher and higher. I glanced at Sarah. She was thoughtfully looking at the cityscape below. The breeze ruffled her chestnut hair, which was streaked with early gray, and on her lips played a slight, somewhat sad smile. Damn, how good she looked now. As if sensing my gaze, she turned to me. I looked away in embarrassment, pretending to study the skyscrapers in the distance. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw that she kept looking at me, as if studying me, trying to understand something. "You know, I've missed it," Sarah suddenly said softly. "Those times when we were all together, one family." A lump rose in my throat. All those memories that I had carefully pushed deep down came flooding back with renewed vigor. My wedding to Emily, family holidays, trips to picnics with the whole gang, the laughter of the children, the grumbling of the mother-in-law, who was always criticizing me. But deep down I know she loved me. "Yeah, it was great," I managed, barely keeping my voice steady. "Too bad it turned out the way it did." Sarah nodded sadly and turned away. And I suddenly had an irresistible desire to hug her, to comfort her, to tell her that everything would be all right. But I restrained myself. There was too much between us. The memories were too painful. We silently looked in different directions as the wheel made its leisurely turn. Leaving the Ferris wheel, Sarah and I and the children wandered along the park paths. Danny and Max raced ahead, engrossed in debating which other rides to go on before the end. Sarah and I trailed behind, in no hurry to catch up with the young naturalists. "How quickly time flies," Sarah said thoughtfully, watching her frolicking grandchildren. "It seems like only yesterday Emily was the same tomboy, running around the yards from morning till night. And now look, she's grown up herself, has her own life," Sarah sighed. "And you too, probably." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stir up the past." I shrugged, trying to feign indifference. In fact, everything inside me clenched with bitterness and longing. Yes, it was. It's gone. But to forget was not so easy. It's okay. The story of our love is over. The main thing is that no one got hurt. I tried to speak casually, but my voice faltered treacherously. You've always been a good husband, John, Sarah said softly, touching my shoulder. I may not have always shown it, but I liked you, really. Her touch burned even through the fabric of my shirt. Damn it. Why did one look at her, one touch still make me shudder? So many years have passed, but it's like yesterday. Come on, what kind of husband am I? I grinned bitterly. I couldn't even keep my marriage together. Sarah suddenly stopped and turned me to face her by the shoulders. She looked me straight in the eye, seriously and piercingly. Don't you dare blame yourself, you hear me? You're both good. Relationships are always work, and you couldn't handle it. But at least you didn't abandon the kids. And Emily is just as much to blame. Stop beating yourself up. I was taken aback by her pressure. And in the old days, she criticized more than she praised. The years change people. Or maybe they just put priorities in place. Thank you, Sarah, I said quietly, covering her hand with mine. Really, thank you. I needed that. For a few moments, we stood like that, looking into each other's eyes, not noticing anything around us. And I felt a spark pass between us, as if, like in the good old days, when we were still one family. The spell was broken by the joyful shout of Danny running up. Uncle John, what are you stuck for? Come on, there are such cool spinners here. Sarah and I jumped apart from each other, smiling awkwardly. The moment was hopelessly ruined. But that warm feeling that had flared up between us didn't go away. It just lurked for the time being. Okay, kiddo, let's go, I sighed, winking at Sarah. Let's have one last ride. And we went to the rides, stealing glances at each other from time to time. The rest of the day flew by in a flash, in laughter, squeals of children on the rides, good-natured bickering and exchanges of nostalgic glances. When the park was already closing, Sarah and I exchanged phone numbers. We kind of agreed to go for a walk together again sometime, but even then I understood. She wouldn't have given me her number for nothing. Her glances were too eloquent all day, and something inside me responded to them with a sweet shiver. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy head and confusion in my thoughts. The events of the previous day were spinning before my eyes, giving me no peace, especially our moment with my ex-mother-in-law on the Ferris wheel, and how the tension sparked between us afterward. And what to do now? Call her? My painful reflections were interrupted by the ringing of my cell phone. My heart raced in anticipation. Could it be Sarah? But no, Max's number appeared on the display. Uncle John, are you home? My nephew chattered happily. I wanted to show you my skateboard. I learned a new trick. Check it out, huh? I sighed, rubbing my temples. What a restless kid. But maybe it's for the best. To unwind, to distract myself. No need to mope and suffer nonsense. Okay, come on over, I agreed. Just not for long. I still have to... In general, I have things to do. I really did have things to do. To kick thoughts of Sarah out of my head. To come to my senses. Max arrived half an hour later, and he and I hung out in the garage. No matter how hard I tried to concentrate on my nephew's tricks and bikes, my thoughts kept running back to yesterday's memories. Uncle Joe, why are you so gloomy? Max finally couldn't stand it. Did something happen? I smiled wanly, tousling his hair. Oh, just adult problems. It's okay, we'll get through it. Then my phone beeped with an incoming text message. I glanced at the screen and choked on air. Sarah. My heart raced, my mouth went dry. With shaking hands, I opened the message. Hi, John. Want to meet up today? We need to talk. Alone. At 7 p.m., same place as yesterday? My mind raced feverishly. Alone, then? What is she talking about? Could it be... No, that's crazy. She's my ex-mother-in-law, my ex-wife's mother. I can't. It's wrong. But at the same time, how can I deny that spark, that attraction that flared up between us yesterday? Those looks of hers, full of warmth and sadness, my reciprocal emotions, as if all those years apart had never happened. Okay, I'll be there at 7, I typed quickly before I changed my mind. I sent it and exhaled, as if I had jumped off a cliff into the unknown. Come what may, we'll figure it out. The rest of the day passed as if in a fog. Max, seeing my absent-mindedness, quickly packed up to go home, and I wandered around the house, unable to find a place for myself. I was burning with excitement and anticipation. At exactly 7, I parked in the same spot as yesterday. Sarah was already waiting for me at the park entrance, beautiful and solemn, like a death sentence. I took a deep breath as I got out of the car to meet her. There was no turning back. "Hi," I said softly, stopping in front of her. Sarah smiled back somehow strangely, tensely. "Hi, I was thinking. Anyway, we need to talk, come on." And she resolutely headed deep into the park. I obediently followed, feeling my heart pounding in my throat. We walked to a small bench under a sprawling oak tree and sat down silently. For a few minutes we just looked ahead, not knowing what to say. Sarah was the first to break the silence. "John, she faltered, clearly choosing her words. "What happened between us yesterday?" "It doesn't mean anything," I said quickly, trying to save face. "Just nostalgia, don't worry about it." Sarah suddenly exploded. "What does nostalgia have to do with it? Don't you get it? Damn it, I just missed you." My jaw dropped. Well, what a twist. But my mother-in-law seemed to be just getting into it. "All these years after your divorce, I couldn't find peace. I thought, what a fool, I should have been softer with my son-in-law, more respectful. Maybe then we would have kept the family together. And then I realized, I just miss you, you idiot. Not the family gatherings, but you, as a man. But it was too late." I listened, dumbfounded, unable to believe my ears. My mother-in-law, a woman 15 years older than me, the mother of my ex, was essentially confessing her love to me. Is this a dream or a prank? "Wait, let's clarify," I mumbled, trying to gather my thoughts. "So you're saying, in all seriousness, that, well, you have feelings for me?" "What other feelings are there?" Sarah threw up her hands. "I love you, you oaf, with all your flaws and quirks. And yesterday in the park I realized that you're not indifferent to me either. So let's not beat around the bush. What do you say? Are you willing to try, being together?" She said the last words, almost in a whisper, lowering her eyes. And I was silent, completely stunned and not knowing what to say. My mind was screaming, "You can't, this is crazy, it's wrong." But my heart was pounding somewhere in my throat, sweetly sinking, nudging me. "Come on, make up your mind, stop being a coward. I need to think," I finally squeezed out, cowardly avoiding a direct answer. "This is so unexpected, I'm totally confused." "I see," Sarah said quietly after a pause. "Well, I'm a fool, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done all this." She got up and quickly walked away, leaving me sitting there in complete confusion. What should I do? Run after her? Tell her that I like her too? Or pretend that nothing happened? Forget this crazy conversation? Damn, why is everything so complicated? It seems easier to hang myself than to deal with these love entanglements, especially when it comes to former relatives. Sighing heavily, I got up and trudged toward the park exit. What to do? I didn't know yet. Or rather, I knew, but I was afraid to admit it even to myself. Already approaching the car, I froze as if struck by lightning. Sarah was sitting on the hood, calm and determined. What? She waited here all this time while I was messing around on the bench? Wow! "It took you a long time to gather your thoughts," she remarked, smiling slightly at the corners of her mouth. "Well, have you thought of anything?" I took 2 steps forward and pulled her to me. Our lips met, crushing each other in a greedy, hot kiss. To hell with it all! Come what may! Sarah wrapped her arms around my neck and pressed herself against me with her whole body. It was as if electric shocks ran through my skin. Ancient, primal instincts took over. My mind shut off completely. We kissed with abandon, passionately, as if for the last time. Somehow tearing ourselves away from each other, we tumbled into the car right onto the back seat and continued where we left off. Kisses, bites, hot caresses, bodies intertwined in a wild primeval dance. Sarah was already over 50, but damn how good she was. Seductive curves of the body, soft skin, a passionate gaze. It all drove me crazy. We feverishly enjoyed each other, aching with desire. Clothes flew off, exposing heated flesh. Hands and lips slid over bodies, giving incredible pleasure. We entwined in an embrace, becoming one. Blood pounded in the temples, hearts raced wildly, and hoarse moans escaped from the chest. Passion eclipsed reason, drowned out all arguments against. There were only the 2 of us left, naked, hungry, burning in the flames of forbidden love. And let the whole world wait. Let foundations and prejudices collapse. Only we existed now. Waves of ecstasy washed over us, giving incredible bliss. We arched in sweet convulsions, clinging to each other like a lifeline. Again and again, over and over, until we were completely exhausted, dissolving in the aftertaste of stunning pleasure. Then we lay in silence for a long time, catching our breath and realizing what had happened. We touched each other gently, as if afraid that everything that was happening was just a dream. But no, this was reality. Hot, passionate, exhilarating reality. "God, what have we done?" Sarah muttered, hiding her face on my chest. I hugged her tighter, inhaling the scent of her hair. "Don't think about it. The main thing is that we're together. The rest is unimportant." "But the kids, the people, what will they say? How will we look them in the eye?" "If you love, you don't care about anyone. We'll figure it out somehow." In fact, I myself had no idea how we were going to wriggle out of this. But to leave Sarah after everything that happened between us was beyond my power. No, now we're tied together, no matter what happens. That night we made love for a long time, with abandon, frantically, reveling in each other. And then, exhausted, we fell asleep in an embrace, feeling that from now on, everything had changed, irrevocably and irreversibly. Morning brought awkwardness and embarrassment. We avoided looking each other in the eye, hastily getting dressed and putting ourselves in order. What's next? How to live with this burden? The questions tormented me, but there were no answers yet. "Listen, about last night," I began, but Sarah cut me off. "Let's not for now. It's too much. We need to think, to decide." "But you don't regret it, do you? I mean, for me, it's not just—" "For me too," she admitted quietly. "But you understand yourself how complicated it all is. We need time." I understood. I understood all too well. It's one thing to give in to a momentary impulse, and quite another to build a relationship, especially such ambiguous ones, to put it mildly. "Okay, we'll think about it," I sighed, hugging Sarah goodbye. "Just don't disappear, okay? Don't vanish from my life." "I won't," she smiled warmly, kissing me on the corner of my mouth. "We're tied together now, remember?" Saying goodbye, we went our separate ways home. Everything inside me sang and trembled despite the oppressive uncertainty. Well, come what may, we'll get through it. Together, we'll get through it. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.